Most people in their life end up and remain in this bottom quadrant right here, and they may be able to ascend to the quadrant next to it. This is what I like to call the golden handcuffs quadrant. You can describe this as representative of the middle class, and it's once you start to get a bit more stability, you're making money, and you're definitely now able to get by. You're not just surviving, but you absolutely loathe your job. You don't actually enjoy what you do, and you lack the purpose of it. In today's day and age, mental health crisis is at an all-time high. We're having more amenities than ever before, but yet depression is at an all-time high. And it has to do with satisfaction, job satisfaction, or just day-to-day enjoyment. People don't really enjoy what they do anymore, and this conflicts with how high they can ascend in their life. Okay, everyone at one point will start off at this bottom left quadrant. Okay, we don't really enjoy what we do, but we're just in it in the beginning. But no one's really gaining any money out of it or any joy out of it. To reference one of those Bill Gates quotes, if you're born poor, it's not your fault, but if you die poor, it sure as hell is your fault. And so the archetype that usually fits into this are your typical entry-level workers, gig workers, fast food workers, and there's nothing wrong with it. But I don't think it's viable for one to just completely stay in this quadrant. And most people won't, because the money's going to get to them. They're going to have that notion in the back of their mind that says, I'm just not making enough, especially if you loathe your job. Okay, so the typical thing to do is just try to get more money. Okay, which is where they go into the next quadrant, in the bottom. Okay, so basically, this is sort of a level up because there's a lot of job opportunities out there, whether it be the trades or white collar, that you can make a good living for yourself. But some people, just out of desperation, have to do it because they don't just want to get by and survive and not be broke. They want to at least be comfortable or build towards something. Now, the problem with this is, again, you're playing by a different set of rules that this very top quadrant operates in. Okay, this top quadrant right here plays by a completely different set of rules. Not only do they love what they do, okay, they are compensated very well for it. Okay, so the archetype that fits in here are athletes, celebrities, actors, actresses, producers, any high ticket social status level of a figure is going to fit in here. And it's because they love what they do. But think about it. Not everyone can replicate the success that they've reached. I mean, we see famous athletes like Ronaldo and Messi. How many Ronaldos and Messis are there? We look at basketball, how many LeBron James or how many Michael Jordans are there? It's a one-of-one talent that can't be replicated. And that's exactly what separates the top from the bottom set of quadrants. Because the bottom set, you can replicate. You can replicate and teach a worker. A worker's replaceable. And unfortunately, that's why not many people at that level would love their jobs. Because it has a labor, framed mindset around it. A lot of the workers or the people in the worst quadrant, are more manual labor, fast food, on the hand sort of kind of jobs. They can be easily replaced because there's not a high skill level needed. Then what ends up happening is they'll try to do something a little bit more technical, so they go into this quadrant, which is usually the white collar workers or maybe professionals, trades right out of college or trade school. And again, if you love doing it, then I think you would fall into a different quadrant right here. But most people don't. They don't actually love what they do, and it's the golden handcuffs quadrant. They're in it for the comfort, the stability, but they loathe it, and it really conflicts with what they aspire to do in their life. And again, all of this is labor. These are jobs that people are willing to pay you to do because it's not really great, but you're going to get paid decent for it because no one who wants to do those types of jobs. Obviously, when it comes to certain tech jobs or, you know, maybe more high level engineering jobs, I'm not sure how many people really enjoy the process of doing it. They may like certain aspects of it, but and the reason I know this is because whenever someone gets the opportunity to build a business or to create something, they're so willing to get rid of that W 2 job or to just, just kick it to the curb. And it's like if you really loved what you were already doing, you wouldn't have even had aspired to do anything else. So again, most people don't even want to stay here. So here's where the problem comes into play, because it's very hard to ascend to this green level quadrant. In fact, I would argue that there's not a linear pathway to go here. Really what ends up happening is famous athletes, maybe actors, actresses, musicians, they don't really come from a lot. And money isn't always their goal. They're not coming from a money-oriented background. Instead, they have this high, intense fervor and passion for whatever they do. And, it's conflicting at the same time because they are not getting any money. They may not even get a penny from it. Athletes, how long do they compete? And, they might even be a financial burden on their parents momentarily. And there's no guarantee they could go pro or reach that level of success. But they do it because of that passion and desire to be successful. And what ends up happening is that translates, not all the time, I'm not saying it's a one-to-one translation, but that translate into success, because you cannot replicate that level of intense passion and desire. Now, again, there are other professions that aren't the typical, big ticket social status level of professions. Say a barista, or say a museum tour guide, or say you're a zoologist, paleontologist. These are professions that, if you're coming from a money-oriented background, they're careers that are looked greatly upon, because they're looked down upon because there's no level of stability and they are not going to bring you that financial independence. But a lot of people are willing to do those jobs because they have that intense zeal for it and fervor for it that not many can easily say they're willing to get and earn less money to do those jobs. Like, you may have certain baristas that actually love doing it. And that's why they're willing to take less money. And I think in today's day and age, we live in a very special age with the digital economy and social media and entrepreneurship, where I'm uploading this video to YouTube. And really, you can monetize your passion. I mean, literally, there's people just recording basic clips of their life. I'm recording a clip of yapping about this thing, but where people fall into in life. And never before has there been a chance where you can come from nothing, and with $0 startup cost, you can go ahead and just have a camera, a mic, a laptop, $0, start recording, and you can scale and affect hundreds of thousands of people, and even build brands and businesses by this way. These are the levers towards gaining that level of success. And I think it's very important. It's not really a linear path. But what I do think happens is a lot of people, either they start off in this quadrant where they are passionate about something, but they're not able to translate it to getting compensated for it. So they then have to, all of a sudden go into desperation mode, and then they have to pivot into getting some financial stability. But they realize that their life just sucks. It's golden handcuffs. There's no purpose. And when there's no purpose, I think you end up having no choice but to go back to what really gets you motivated. And your determination and your passion, those are the factors that will determine whether you can make it or not. Again, I would say that most people, I would say 80% of people fall underneath this line. They fall underneath this line. 80% of the population. Okay, this is the labor population. Whether it be technical labor, whether it be manual labor. The population above is not labor oriented. Okay, the population above is actually more arts oriented. Okay, this is the population that can't be replicated. Okay, this is unique. Okay, and the population below is completely labor oriented. And when you are going about a unique approach that in which you can't be replicated, you can't be replaced, and you don't feel like a cog in the wheel, you will have that intense zeal and determination to do whatever it takes, even if it's for less money. And it always translates into, in some way or fashion of you getting compensated, you know. And there's different pathways to get rich. This isn't a how to get rich video. It's just where most people fall and of how society really breaks down. The bottom two quadrants really are dependent on desperation as well. The top ones are not. But again, there's only so long where you can stay in that top left quadrant. Money is always a factor, and whoever says it's not is joking with you. A bunch of psychology is involved with money, but also what is your comfort level with the amount of money you have? What do you want your lifestyle to be? These are all questions you have to ask yourself. But in no way, shape, or form do I believe that the person that is solely aiming and eyeing for retirement, do I believe that their problems will be solved once their retirement gets hit. If you don't enjoy what you do day to day, that's going to creep up on you, and it's not going to be fun. You have to enjoy what you do day by day. And it's a process, something you have to develop, but it's easier said than done. So again, I've seen a bunch of posts, and I've had, many friends with, they're making high, six-figure incomes, and, I've seen some posts where they're hitting the $1 million net worth and they don't have a family, and they're questioning the point of what the point of life is with sitting with all that money. And they can't comprehend it because they're still, even though they make high six figures and they have $1 million net worth, they will still always be in this bottom quadrant where they just can't feel like they ascend, and they're just part of the labor population. Okay, they'll never feel like they're truly ascending and doing something they love that they're getting compensated for. Again, this is something that you have to figure out. No one has the answer to this, whether it be, sports, music, acting, production, drawing, artistry, anything that gets you motivated and anything that gets you to wake up. And more importantly, anything that you would do that you would not get compensated for is something that should be the bedrock of your foundation. Ultimately, though, there will be a way and a path that you do try to monetize that and end up in this quadrant. Again, we want to end up in this one. Most of you will start out here. And right now, obviously, I'm trying to find my way into the top quadrants right here. So again, it's just all about picking that pathway to actual success. And it's not easy. It's not a linear pathway. But I do believe this is how the core of society works. And I think once you sort of realize that this is how the breakdown is, and it's not about, the top 10% are controlling the bottom. It's not all about that. That's not the argument I'm trying to make here. And I'm not even, again, there's always going to be those frameworks. But there's a reason why you have, in a capitalist society as well, where the athletes are making more money, where the actors are making more money. There's something that is unique about each and every single person that the world we're growing up in today, do well in school, go to the college pipeline. That pipeline's getting destroyed now because of the digital economy, AI, and, essentially labor that can easily be cheapened and replaced. And at the end of the day, people are labor. That is the mindset. So once you have that mindset shift, now focus on the skills that are, unique to you, and build upon the strengths that you've had from a very young age that you can build upon that's only unique to you. And I'm getting repetitive here, but something that you can capitalize on because no one else can. And there's a bunch of grifters out there online that are trying to sell you a course on how to do XYZ. Again, there's no get rich quick schemes. They're just someone's making money off of you, you know, and off of your money. That they're the ones becoming rich. So there's no linear pathway. The only pathway is what you can actually find out for yourself.